into some of the players. For me, the reason that I kind of discredit some of the rankings and I look at experience and so forth and so on is because a lot of that's built on the FGS and deals with gathering points via online competition.
Yeah, of course.
When I look at in-person, I look at LAN events, I look at those success stories.
There's also a lot of things to think about with the fact that if players qualify for this competition earlier in the year, they might not have then needed to get those ranking points and gone up the leaderboard. So yeah, you're right, but all I'm saying is 70% of the time so far, the higher ranked team have won. That is a stat worth looking at.
Stats don't lie, as
That's what
they
they
like to say, yeah. Stats do not lie. But at the moment, it's going to be a cagey start. You've got to be careful you don't give away that early goal. We saw one, and I think it was, what, 4 or 5 minutes in for Napoli to get that goal early on. As you can see, RB Leipzig starting out in the white kit, the Leipzig kit, and TG NIP has that Team Hullet kit on the right side of your pitch. The black and the, is it yellow or green? It's like a neon green. Dirty yellow green.
You see that long throw to start. That's a new introduction to competitive FIFA, mainly because of some of the players with these goalkeepers having the shapeshifter options. You have big options to aim for that can knock it down. If you have a Savic in your team or a Petr Cech, you know he's going to win those types of 50-50s, even against other big center backs. And that's why you can go for a little more of a direct approach.
So as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, captains for the team, Anders, so he's going to be the red icon in this case, and do the defensive work there. Umut will be the yellow circle. Over on the other side, Levy is the dark blue captain. You look at, I'm looking at you. Spence, you've been on stage the whole time. You know, a chance, I guess you don't get a chance to stand behind them while they're playing. You can't join the coach there, but it is going to be TG NIP. Bit of a cagey start, slow start, just feeling each other out. No shots just yet as they try to switch the play. Van Persie, I don't think I've seen too many others using him. Obviously R9, Brandon was talking about obviously the drafts that you have. You've got the 3 key players, everybody's got locked in. Everybody had that draft in their groups. A lot of people trying to pick out the players, trying to pick out the pass. We're going to get the first corner of the game here. These have been tasty so far. Yeah, a big opportunity here for Leipzig to make something happen. They've gone short with it. Can they get a shot off here? Good defensive work from the man who's the team's named after, Ruud Gullit.
It's still so strange to see 5-star skill moves from Savic. He's taking over the midfield in many circumstances. Sometimes you even see him used as a center back. He wins everything in the air. He's got this different power and size and presence compared to most players, and then having the skills, having some of that agility. It's just weird. There's just no other way to really break it down. It's just unusual, it's unorthodox, and that's why he's become so valuable.
Absolutely, he ran off the ball though. R9 doing some defensive work there. Just piling back. TGNIP, 20 minutes gone. Still no shots. This is what we expected with Team Hullet NIP with such a strong defensive record. They're just going to try and close down RB Leipzig. It's all about what you do with those direct balls, what you do with those chances. Chance brewing here. Hakimi to Mbappe, working well. Last pass cut out by, of all people, Buffon in the defence, in the centre-back role.
Mike and I were lucky enough to commentate on the last Team Hullet game, and it was a similar sort of affair, wasn't it? Back and forth, not a lot of chances. I think, yeah, we might not see the same amount of goals, perhaps, as the last game, but it's really a top level game. You're seeing like these little micro moments. Oh, this could be a big one. Oh, he put it wide. No, it wasn't. It was a deflection. Corner.
Corner chance here for Hullet as they work it in. Henri to Martial, plays it back and quick to R9. Could go for the power shot. In the end, Van der Sar parries it. Corner number 2 coming up. Just
very
a quick
important
talk.
Early goalkeeper movement as well. You could aim anywhere. Slight movement from Van der Sar there that made a big difference.
Flicked it across, Van der Sar will collect.
Oh, he's made a mistake, almost giving it straight to Ronaldo there.
Risky.
We don't want to see something like that decide one of these games, do we? We want to see a moment of genius as opposed to an error that gets someone this position in a final. We're talking about $150,000 minimum for the winning team in this game, because it could double if they were to go and win that final. Right now, the two teams just feeling each other out. No one wanted to make a mistake, because it is genuinely a $75,000 mistake if you make it.
And you can see the different approach from both these teams here, where I kind of teased it, but it looks like it's going to be the situation, at least as no one has got on the board. There's been no goal scored or conceded. but the speed and tempo is different. RB Leipzig, when they have the ball, they're going forward a little bit quicker. TG NIP, a little methodical, a lot of switching of the pitches. They're looking for these additional options, some sort of drop-off, and then they don't really go into taking risk until they get near that final third.
If you look at yesterday's game, especially against Brøndby, it was all about the long balls down the right, left wing, using the speed of Zaha and Henry, getting them through there. Obviously got Mbappe in the middle there. Rashford, one of the few teams using it. Oh, great finish! Leipzig take the lead. Just a little fist bump from Anders there, and the crowd absolutely loving it.
Big smile from the Dane there. It feels like he's about to claim his throne, isn't it, at the top of the world of competitive FIFA. Has been talked about for a long time, but with each game, Mike, each knockout that he progresses through, along with them, of course, it feels like he's getting ready to be crowned.
And it's Anders 101. Little step over there, takes the space, green time finish. He's just so dangerous. He puts you under so much pressure where you almost have to guess what he's going to do when he's going with some of those step overs, this quick change of direction. If you get it right, again, you look like a genius. We compliment you. If it goes wrong, you're going to concede a goal.
I think as long as it's one goal, though, as we talked about before, this isn't necessarily the worst case scenario for Team Ninjas in Pyjamas, because if they keep it a narrow scoreline and then hit them late with no time to reply, that could be a good strategy, because I think the more time you give Anders to breathe and gain confidence and find the little loopholes he needs to win the game, that's when he becomes most dangerous.
And RB Leipzig,
Chance here maybe, Mbappe just working it through. Plenty of people in the box trying to maybe use, I guess we could call him K11 these days, I don't know. We got R9. I guess we haven't got another Mbappe yet. Break down the left wing. This is where the danger's been coming from Leipzig. It's worked well once again. R9, what's Anders going to do? He actually plays it back into Anders. It has to be, and it will be. 2! And now we see Anders out of his seat. Just a quick fist bump. But that is a great start for Leipzig before half-time.
To your point, this is getting problematic because we have not seen explosive scoring from TGNIP. You hear the crowd, they're chanting already, they're getting after it early. And I was going to say, if there's one maybe double-edged sword here when you're looking at RB Leipzig, they will press you. So if you get to that second line, there will be space for you to work with in order to create chances. But one of the same issues that I'm seeing right now with TGNIP is it's so slow with their build-up that they're not getting there quick enough. And that's where this becomes a concern, because I don't think we've even seen that much of a risk to reward RB Leipzig. This was pretty conservative with their press, and they already have 2 goals, and this is only the first half of the first leg.
I think what we saw there was a goal that was very typical to a 2v2 game. You wouldn't necessarily have seen it in a 1v1 because it involved a little bit of misinterpretation of the space by the centre-back. An amazing first touch, obviously. Once the ball was in the box and they're free, they're almost certainly going to score. So much of competitive FIFA is just about making sure your opponent never gets that exact chance, because the likelihood of an error being made there by a player of this quality is so small.
And it was a large error. If you revisit that second goal, they make the pass. It was almost rudimentary where they found some of the key lines of spacing, but they took the goalkeeper movement a little early. So you're moving the goalkeeper, so you're no longer chasing back with those center backs. They never had a challenge, and the goalkeeper was so far out of position, it was a tap-in. I would even bet all of us are finishing that one because we have so much time and space to work with.
I mean, maybe.
All right, yeah, maybe we're giving too much credit here.
I mean, we've got to get in the position in the first place. That's what it's all about, of course. TGNIP, though, 2-0 down, half-time. I mean, this is just about probably worst scenario for them. I was talking to Footwiz before their matchup, and Denman was talking about the fact that he's like, give me 2-3-0 first game. I'm absolutely loving it, and that's what they're going to be looking right now. RB Leipzig are in dreamland. This is the perfect start. First half, 2 goals, and now let's see what they can do. The danger has all been about that wing play, and we're seeing it once again in action here. And Mbappe ahead of his man, looking to maybe cut back, but in the end, a dangerous free kick position here. We've seen some interesting worked ones. Obviously, ordinarily, if this was just 1v1, you would just play it short, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Recycle the ball back through, try and look for that space, using Henry. So even if Klosterman, the man that's been used by just about every team, can work the space, big save from Courtois, corner coming through, played short, Henry. Once again, back through the middle, lots of space in the middle of the park. And that was just too easy for Anders Vejrgang to smash her in the back of the net. The space, it just opened up for him.
And this game has opened up as well into a beautiful fixture between 2 very good teams.
RB Leipzig sending a message, and I mean, you're talking about outside of the foot elastico, splitting the defense, giving you that extra spark, that moment of ingenuity, something special inside the box. This is where we talk about Anders, and this is why we keep building him up as a player, but having that partnership with Umut is so important, so they have that structure, they have the fundamentals or the foundation, and then let him work when he gets around the box.
They're in real trouble now, aren't they? I mean, that save from Courtois that preceded the corner that led to the goal, it felt like a lifeline, it felt like an opportunity for them to go. And that's where you've really just got to control your emotions, concentrate and make sure you don't concede. Because you start to wonder, Mike, is this scoreline going to be too hard to come back from? We're talking about a team in TGNIP that hadn't conceded a goal in the knockouts. They've just conceded 3 in just over one half of FIFA.
And the concern is, kind of like you said, they hadn't conceded a goal. So defensively, they've been sound, but more so offensively, they haven't been very impressive. If you go through the group stage, they don't have a bunch of outbursts. You go through the knockout stage, it's a similar story. These guys are not high-octane goal scorers or creators in terms of the opportunities that they're presenting. We commentated yesterday. It was a 1-0 win over 2 legs of FIFA.
Yeah, it was narrow, and they're going to need a lot more than 1 goal to get through this one now. It's beginning to look like a bridge too far, but still time, of course, if they get the next goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, there is a second leg to follow this one, so lots of time to play here, but also lots of times to let goals in. They've got to be careful. We were talking about how good TGNIP's defence has been. It's just been utterly decimated so far with those 3 goals, and once again, working it down that right wing has been the favourite of RB Leipzig. Something, obviously, Footwear's watching to see who they're going to be facing in the final. We'll be watching this matchup, forget replays, look at exactly how they're playing, how they're doing it against such a strong defensive team that they themselves have faced already. Now, see how they can work this one through. This is the build-up, NIP. Is it going to be a slow, methodical build-up? You've got to just take your time. This is almost reset your mindset. Try and think in your head, is it 0-0? I can just play my own style. I've got time. You don't need to panic yet.
But the problem is, for Team Hullet, not only have they got to be so good to score, 3 or more goals now, RB Leipzig have got to kind of fall apart because they haven't got to score more. They're more than good enough just to control this game out and even concede 1 or 2. But the likelihood of them conceding 3 or 4 goals now, it would take something unbelievable from Team Hullet and something terrible from the boys from Leipzig.
Yeah, it would have to be a total collapse. Maybe we could see something here, though, as they do try and break down the right wing. Henry plays it back. Klosterman nicely into Ruud Hullet. It's got a lot of goals for them so far from a lot of the time. From what I remember throughout the groups and the knockouts, a lot of the goals actually came from headers in the box, rather than actually, open play still, but it was crosses into headers, and that's what's worked out well for them. They're not getting those chances right now.
You can see that approach play. I don't like it. It's too passive. It's too swinging it side to side. They're not whipping in a lot of crosses, and even more so when you're down multiple goals, you've got to be a little more direct. And you don't want a mistake when you're building up. I just don't love this overlapping approach that they're using down the wings. I don't think it's going to be the bread and butter for opportunities, but
R9 plays it back. Henry can't get past the mighty defender that is Buffon.
I was going to say, they haven't made anything clear-cut. We're not talking about missed chances. We're not talking about big saves. We're not talking about hitting the post or an opportunity where they had the ball right on the edge. They just haven't got to those money locations on the virtual pitch.
It's also like RB Leipzig are happy for them to get to a certain area. They're happy for them to get to just approaching the final third, around about here. And once they get in that box, the tackle comes in. See, it's just like they're not trying to press them at that point once they get into their half. They just say, look, what have you got? You're going to have to do something special.
Oh, that's a dangerous ball to
Oh.
lose. It just tapped it too hard.
And the biggest issue, or the bigger issue to me when they're getting into that final third, is always on the wing. It's always on the wing. And when you're central, you have more options. You have more versatility. You have more room to introduce something a little bit unique, a little more different. You keep your opponent guessing.
I think as well, when you start to get so comfortable in a certain style of attack, you start to miss opportunities. There was an opportunity for Team Hullet to play a ball for the middle earlier. Speaking of which,
Run to R9.
still
Green
alive.
finished as well, still alive. This time Umut takes control and he puts in the 4th. And that may be just too far.
Is that it? Is that it? Can you see RB Leipzig collapsing to the degree that would be required for TGNIP to win this one? I don't know if I can, Mike.
Well, when I saw them pause earlier on, when it was 2-0, I started thinking to myself, surely we're going to start seeing some tactical adjustments. We're not going to see this wing play swinging it side to side, very patient, very methodical, very structured with the build-up. We're going to need a little more of a counter press. We got to change something. And then it added the third goal. I thought the same thing. It didn't happen. Now you're down 4. You start questioning, is there even enough time? If you are to go for it, is there actually enough time to create some sort of collapse?
I think at this point, it's like you've got to go for it to the extent that you may be prepared to lose 10-0.
Correct.
Because a loss is a loss at this stage. They're still going to be taking home $75,000 if they exit the tournament at this stage. But I don't know. Listen, if they do it, it will probably be the biggest comeback in the history of at least recent FIFA esports. Certainly the E-Club World Cup that I can remember.
I mean, right now, I feel that you're talking about pride. Honestly, nobody wants to go out to a massive scoreline in a semi-final. And you look at the heart rates, both of them just hovering around that 100 mark. You obviously look to the last game, they were pumped up there. Is it maybe just Team Hullet almost accepting defeat right now? I hope it's not, because there is still another matchup to go here in 15 minutes in this game. There's a long way to go, but they are 4 down, and that is a really tough task.
To Spencer's point, though, to overturn this, you're going to throw all the bodies forward. So you have to risk this getting very ugly as a scoreline, or you can lose and maybe it stays a little bit closer, but a loss is a loss.
Well, now's the time to